This homeless drug addict turned his life around and made over $100 million. He went from sleeping on the streets and robbing drug dealers to owning a private jet, a super yacht, and a waterfront mansion in Miami. But his journey started in a very dark place.
I started smoking weed and I started drinking around the age of 10, but what happened before that was I started selling weed.
At 10 years old, you got arrested.
That's the first time I took a pinch was at 10 years old, yeah.
Wow.
And I got off the bus and there was like a bunch of cruisers in front of the apartment building, and one of them was that Dare. It's like wrapped with all the graphics of Dare. And I remember walking up and being like, ooh, somebody fucked up. You know what I mean? Like thinking someone else was in trouble. And I walked in and there was cops in my living room of my apartment with my mom, baggies and weed and my scale, little finger scale I used to hold, all this shit. I was like, damn, I got nabbed.
And you ended up dropping out of high school, right?
Yeah, 15 years old. I was deep into doing drugs. I was selling drugs. I had a lot of money and I was 15 years old. And I was just like, I'm just not coming back here anymore. And I remember one day I just decided I was not coming back. And so I just stopped going.
How much money were you making back then?
I couldn't tell you, dude, because easy come, easy go, but a lot. You know what I mean? Like I used to call it shoebox money. And I literally had shoeboxes just stuffed with cash at 15 years old. I had a lot. Like I didn't think the music was gonna stop and the lights were gonna come on and the party was gonna be over. That was the beginning of a very long, painful process for me.
When you hear the amount of $82, what does that make you think of?
The number 82 is the last time I ever got high. It was in a drug deal gone bad. And I say that, a drug deal gone bad. The only thing that went bad was my intentions. I didn't have any money and I didn't have any dope to sell, and this kid was trying to buy a few bags and I was getting dope sick. Mm-hmm. And so when you're starting to get sick, you get really desperate. And I robbed him with a kitchen knife. And that was the amount of money that he had. He had $82. I took the $82, I bought 4 bags of heroin. And the last time, God willing, that I used drugs, I was hiding in a closet shooting 4 $20 bags of heroin. And the police were everywhere in the neighborhood looking for me. I hid all night. And then the next morning I took off on the run.
When you finally decided to go sober, you used to walk miles to a treatment center in the winter cold without even having a jacket to get there.
You did your research. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I had a trash bag and I had 2 pairs of clothes in it. And I got sober December 7th of 2006. And so it's like right at the beginning of winter. Mm-hmm. Didn't even have a winter coat. And so I used to walk to the AA meetings. I used to walk, and then once I started to get some sobriety underneath my belt, I would walk to that treatment center. That place was called Keystone Hall in a little city called Nashua, New Hampshire. That honestly is where the rest of my life is kind of birthed and created, because I walk into that place and I'm like, I just need to help people. I was 22 months sober when I started the state of New Hampshire's first sober living house. It was me and my dad. He owned the tree removal and excavation company. We worked together, we made the money, we stacked up some bread. I got some people that I knew to donate the furniture, and we found a building that was 3 apartments in a town called Derry, New Hampshire. I moved in October of 2008, and that was the birth of the business. And the first 2 years I lived there, I made no money, still driving an old used pickup truck, still cutting down trees every day. Like, was not glamorous at all. It's literally a house. The bedrooms have 2, maybe 3 beds, twin-sized beds in them, and it had just general rules. You can't drink, you can't do drugs, you have to follow the house rules, make your room, go to AA meetings, get a job, attend house meetings, and so you had rules and structure in this place to live. And so I was the one that oversaw everything in the day-to-day, implementing that program and those rules and the structure.
Did people pay to live in the first house?
Yeah, it's like $150 a week. Mm-hmm. They got a job, they made their money, they paid to live there.
Yeah.
100%.
So how wasn't it making money?
It's funny, people look at it and they'll add up the money and go, exactly, how wasn't it making money? Well, I gotta pay the mortgage, then I gotta pay the light bill, I gotta fix the lawnmower because that broke, and there was a plumbing issue, and they destroyed the couch, so I had to buy a new couch. There was just always a lot of expense.
When did it finally start making money?
2011, 3 years into the business without really making anything.
And at that point, you had a couple sober living houses, or you took it?
I had started a second one, and then I consolidated it into one big site. And that was a pivotal move that allowed me to start making some money. And I built an outpatient center, which had provided therapy, individual therapy, group therapy. I was able to bill insurance. I started another business, and that was the beginning of this thing starting to grow.
So tell me a little bit about this journey from that to getting it to this level where it was able to be sold for over 100 million.
It was just like everyone was just turning into ghosts all around me. Everyone I knew was dying. Man. And in that, I didn't know what to do. And so I just didn't know how to process that grief. Like people get messed up over one best friend dying.
Yeah.
Change your life. I had all of them die. And so what I did was a couple things, really two things. I doubled down on growing the business. I said, the more that I can do, the more people that I can help, the more people that can get into recovery and not die of this thing. And although my people are all dead and they're not coming back, these people are other people's people, and I can prevent them from experiencing the same levels of pain that I've had to endure.
Every time somebody died around you, it called you more to this purpose of saving other people.
100%. It became an obsession. It's all I did. And so that's why, honestly, I took all of that pain and it became this obsession to grow this business, because by growing this business, the bigger it grew, the more people I was helping. And we were front lines on America's addiction crisis at, the beginning of the worst time the world has ever seen. The business explodes. We become the largest provider of addiction treatment services in New England, but I have no business training. I have no MBA. I don't even have a GED. So I go out and I start to get mentors and people and advisors, and I just start to learn. And the stuff that I learn about business, I immediately start to put into practical application into my company. I start to professionalize it, and at the same time, buyers from the financial world, private equity, are knocking on the door. And so this all happens at the same time, 2017 up through 2021, and 2 times in a row they backed out.
I know that hurt.
It hurt, but the value of the lessons was enormous. And then I went on from getting punched in the stomach back to back twice. I completed 3 successful minority deals. I sold 10%, 10%, and then 18.75% in 3 rounds. And then together to the same buyer, and then together in a partnership, myself and that buyer sold 100% of the business on December 21st of 2021.
December is a special month for you.
A lot happens in December, yeah.
That's the month that you went sober, and the month that you sold your company for 115 million.
Yeah.
Do you remember that day? What was that day like for you?
I remember that day. Man, I had a scheduled, they call it a closing call. It was a 10-month process from deciding to sell the business and bringing it to market, to getting the buyers, to that whole thing, to meeting them, to going through due diligence. It was grueling 10 months. And we all got on the phone, and the lawyers lead the call, and they say, "Are you ready to close?" And they sound off everyone. And they got to me, and I said, "Yes, I am ready to close." And they said, "Okay, we are officially closed." And everyone said, "Thank you, congratulations." And everyone hung up the phone. It was like a 7-minute phone call. And I was like,
now what?
That's it? That's the end? You know what I mean? And so I had the online banking app. People were like, "Eric, put that damn phone down. Like, it'll get there when it gets there." And I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
5 o'clock at night came, and I was like calling. I was like, "Yo, I didn't get my money. Like, where's my money at?" And they were like, I was like, "We're supposed to be here before the end of business." It was like 5:02 when I was on the phone. And it ended up being like 5:45 that night, sitting at my kitchen table in my home in New Hampshire. And I remember I was looking at the number that I've been used to seeing on the phone, and I pulled it down. It gives a little wheel and then it reloads. And the number was like, "Bah!" And I was like, "Damn, oh shit." I was like, "God damn." And that's the moment it became real. I come from very blue collar, humble beginnings, right? And so I knew that the Spofford family lineage, I had changed that forever.
Yes, sir, you did.
It was never gonna be the same.
So after making over 100 million, what would you say is one of the best pieces of advice you ever learned about making money?
For me, it's back to the basics, right? Like, people give up too early. What people don't see in that story is 2 years of construction work, saving up money to start a business, and then a decade of 12, 14, 16-hour days, no days off, no holidays, not a vacation for 10 years of work ethic and execution with no money, very little money, no notoriety, no attention, no celebrations, nothing. And so people need to make a commitment and put in the time and with work ethic and execution for a long period of time. And a lot of people, where they go wrong now is they want it overnight. They want it and by overnight, I mean a year, 2 or 3. Yo, shout out to my boy Jordan. Make sure you like his video, you leave a comment, and most importantly, subscribe to it. And listen, my friends, if you found value in this, everybody knows somebody who suffers from addiction and alcoholism. Please hit that share button and send them this video. It could save somebody's life. Much love.